Well, today on Brandverse, we are catching up with someone who has taken charge of a company and took the wheel during a tectonic shift in the Indian telecom and also the global tech market, from the rise of AI-driven fraud to the government's own CNAP rollout. Today, we sit down with Rishit Jhunjhunwala, global CEO of Truecaller, to look back at his first 365 days in charge, from one employee per million users rule to high-stakes battle for India's home screen. We are asking a few simple questions about his leadership and a few more questions about the company's future. Rishit, thank you so much for joining us on ET Now today, and such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us, you took charge of Truecaller in Jan 2025. What is your first 365-day report card, and what are the things that have shifted for you in this new leadership role?
Yeah, it's been a year, a little more than a year now since I've been CEO of the company. Our ambitions continue to be really strong and large, global ambitions. We still have a lot to do in protecting our users from scams and fraud, continue to chip away at that mission. We've launched a bunch of new capabilities. We've upgraded our suite of offerings that towards consumers and towards businesses both, which has been our focus. India specifically, in 2025, we recently launched a report where we demonstrated how we are truly India's spam shield. So we spoke about the fact that we identified 4,100 crore spam calls in 2025 alone, and we blocked about 1,200 crore calls by our customers. So that's the kind of scale that we're operating, and we truly believe we've become India's spam shield now.
All right. How does it feel to lead the company from, Bangalore versus leading it from Stockholm? And has that proximity changed, your gut feel for the product? Also at a time when, there have been so many changes in the market. What has been, your biggest challenge navigating all of this?
Yeah, I spend a lot of time in Bangalore. We have a large engineering center in Bangalore. Of course, our largest user base is in India as well, so that helps me a lot. We also have, quite a robust team from a management point of view in Sweden, which is our head office. That's where we were founded as a company. So that's how I balance it out, that I play the role in India, and there is a management team in Sweden that handles operations there. How things have changed in the last 1 year? A lot has changed, of course, exactly like you spoke about. While all the digital public infrastructure is gaining significant adoption and the economy continues to grow very rapidly, business is still conducted on the phone, and the phone number is becoming more and more important. We've seen a slew of capabilities launched by the government of India as well that also help this cause. So I think it's a very welcome move in rolling out some of the things like CNAP and all the other aspects that they're working on to further help in removing the menace of spam and scam and fraud in the country.
Speaking of CNAP, now that the government CNAP has KYC-based name display, and which will be fully live, by March 2026. So why should Indian users still keep Truecaller on the devices?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. CNAP is a KYC name that will be displayed on all calls, and the rollout is progressing as we speak. I've been using it myself as well, and we knew that CNAP will come, just like it has in many other markets as well that we play in. There are some countries in the Middle East. The US has always had CNAP. So we've been working hard on giving more value to our users than just the caller's name. I'll give you an example that I always give. If right now your phone rings and you're in this meeting and it says, Ramesh Kumar calling you. What can you do with that information? There's very little you can do. It could be a very important call. It might not be an important call. And that's where Truecaller actually comes in. Truecaller's community-powered context to tell you which company this person works in, where they are based, what is their job title, what is their profession. That is the real value of what Truecaller brings to the table. The name is actually not so important in today's world anymore. That's been our belief, and we've been building a lot on that.
Rishit, but even now, without CNAP also, sometimes when we get calls, like I get calls, and there is of course Manoj Kumar or Ramesh Kumar, as you mentioned, and it comes with like, a potential scam or a potential fraud, kind of like a comment, along with that. And now it's going to be even more refined, in March 2026. So it is still useful, so to speak. But apart from that, when it comes to AI, and I know that you have pushed AI heavily this year, how do you personally use AI assistant to screen your own calls, and do you still pick up to see what's happening, like in the real world?
Yeah, we built the Truecaller AI assistant, which so Truecaller not only tells you who is calling and if they're a fraudster, but Truecaller can also answer calls on your behalf now. We've had it for a few years now. It was an acquisition we did, a company called Call Hero back in 2021. We integrated into the app, and it's offered to our premium users. I use it all the time. I don't think I can live without an AI assistant anymore. It has made my life very, very convenient because it answers most of my calls that I am not able to answer because I'm in meetings or I'm doing something else, or it's an unwanted call. But I get to know why they were calling me, what they were saying to me. So it's become a pretty integral part of my life right now already.
Right. Rishit, earlier you had mentioned a goal, like a very ambitious goal of 1 employee per million users. Are we there yet? Or, let's say, has the complexity of the year that 2025 was forced you to expand the team?
No, that tenet is a very strong tenet in the company, that we will remain a small, agile company. It gives us the flexibility to build quicker, ship quicker, iterate quicker, and we are absolutely still at that number. We're close to 500 million users. We're approaching the 500 million user mark, and we are close to 500 employees as well. So we still stand by that principle, and we're really proud of that principle even today.
Absolutely. Rishit, let's make this conversation a bit spicy. If you had to delete every feature of Truecaller except one, which is that one non-negotiable for the Indian user that you did rather have?
I think these days what has become need of the hour, personally, even to me on my phone, is the ability to block spam calls. So just like you said, there are telco offerings that are able to tell you that this is a spam call. What Truecaller provides is, using its capabilities that we built over the years, we will actually suppress that call for you, so you actually won't even get the spam call anymore. It will shut it off before it rings on your phone. I think that is a very important part, but also a recent service that I've found extremely useful in Truecaller is the family protection feature, because my father has been defrauded a couple of times over the last few years. All the scams that you read about these days, and the need of the hour is to protect our elders. They are the vulnerable class of society. They are the ones who, they get socially outcasted because they already feel, technologically obsolete these days. And if they get defrauded, that was really, really hurting us. And we built that capability now that I can, rest at peace knowing that if my parents are being defrauded, then Truecaller will let me know if they're part of the family protection circle, that I need to intervene and do something about it. So I think that is a very important part of what we're doing today.
Right. Rishit, when we speak about leadership changes or assuming a leadership role, we often speak about the first 100 days of a new CEO. So what was the very first internal policy of way of working that you changed the moment you sat in the CEO's chair in the first 100 days?
No, so it wasn't that dramatic a change. I've been in the company now for 11 years.
Right.
Only in the last 1 year I've become CEO, and we discussed all our strategy and all policies together as a management team, and I was part of that. So I didn't need to do any dramatic changes, but I guess one anecdote I can give you very quickly. When I joined the company, one of the things that I wanted to do was accelerate our move towards our 1 billion goal. We're at close to 500 million now, and we have to be very aggressive to get to the 1 billion mark. It's not going to be easy. It will need us to be bolder and more aggressive than we've ever been. And I think that was one of my first meetings that I had in the company, that this is a philosophy that we need to have of being very, very aggressive.
Right. I saw some of your numbers, and I saw that you saw a significant hit to ad revenue in the late 2025. What was the reason for that? And, is this also a shift to direct sales via resellers, like a permanent move, or is it a sign that the programmatic ad era for utility apps is over?
Right. So it was mid-August that we faced challenges in our ads business. Overnight, the revenue dropped by about 30%. The reason for that issue was that there was a change in one of our largest programmatic partners, a very significant change that caused a downturn in revenue, not just for us, but various publishers of similar scale as us. In the future, our plan has been pretty clear. We should not have, generally, health of any business, you should not be too dependent on any one partner for a very significant portion of your revenues. That diversification is very, very important to us. And also becoming better at direct sales and, being able to control your own destiny and having a direct contact with global advertisers has always been a part of our strategy, and this downturn in the revenues has confirmed that belief, and we've been able to accelerate that entire move overall, so that we have a revamped ads business essentially in the future.
Absolutely. Rishit, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today for this conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.